Hi folks, how you doing? RussellTrueResults303.com. Check out the website, link in the description box. Mind, body, spirit, fitness, putting the healing back in health. Coming at you today with a video on Catholic guilt. Is there such a thing? What is it? It's something I've never really encountered, never even really heard of until probably 6 months ago. And sometimes I just let these thoughts dwell in my head. I don't even know if I think about them. Maybe every once in a while I do. And eventually I'm just ready to make a video on this topic. So when I talk to a lot of people that either leave the church or they don't understand the church, when it comes to leaving the church, everybody just says things like, oh, they're always asking for money. They're always, whatever the case may be. They're always asking for something, or they demand so much of you. And then when you fall short, you feel guilty about it. And to tell you the truth, until about a month and a half ago, I had a lot of guilt as well. I wouldn't have called it Catholic guilt. To me, I think it was just my conscience, right? And of course, when we're in church, they're always going to say, what are you doing to help? The thing that I think really helps with my church, and I don't know if it's my priest or not, but he always just says, time, treasure, and talent. What are you doing with your time, treasure, and talent? And as long as you're giving in some form of those three things, then you're usually going to be okay. There are times when you can't afford to give money, or at least it seems that way because maybe we are not using the resources that God has given us properly. But who knows? You might just really be in a rough situation, right? So treasure is something that you can't do. But what about time and talent? What are you doing in those areas, right? It could be maybe you would be really great at going up and giving some form of a talk, or maybe your church doesn't have a Bible study. Maybe you should start a Bible study for your church. Or I just read something in the Catholic Registry about a single mother who decided to start a single parenting group at their church. And she actually went to some other parish, I think it was out of state, and studied and learned and started her own at her parish. So now I think it's here. You're going to have to do some research. I think here in Fort Collins, she has a single parent group that she started. And I think that's a difficult thing with Catholicism and the Catholic Church is if you go to these non-denominationals and everything's already set up. That's their job. There's a Bible study. There's a this, there's a that. And that's because if it's a non-denominational, usually that's his job, right? He doesn't have to answer to anyone else. If you're a priest, he has to, he has to go here, he has to go there. He has all these higher ups and these orders to go through and these ranks, but that's that guy's job. Every dollar you donate is his. For us, that's not the same with the Catholic Church. Every dollar you donate goes to help this church, goes to fund this, goes to fund this. A majority of it might not even be in your parish. I mean, I'm not sure. It's November. If you're a Catholic, everybody knows November is budget month. They will sit down and the church will tell you exactly how much money it's made. We have savings accounts, this and that. The church will just be straight open with you. I tell anybody, November, I will never take anyone to church because unfortunately it's going to be a budget meeting for the church. But so time, treasure, and talent. Once again, anything is treasure-wise is a good thing. Our church just came up with automatic deduction out of your credit card or your bank's card, whatever you want. So I set that up. Everybody always says you're going to do something. Me, I don't carry my wallet on me. People know I don't ever have my wallet in my pocket, right? I'm in the glove box of my car majority of the time or something, or in my bag, whatever the case. People make fun of me, say it's a man purse, a satchel, whatever. I carry a bag around with me. Got my little Bible and everything in it as well, and some other things. But, once you're able to set up that automatic deduction, that takes, the difficulty out of everything. You just set it up. $10 a week, $5 a week, $1 a week, whatever you want to do, $20 a week, $100 a week. Simple and easy. You don't ever have to worry about writing a check, anything like that. Maybe your church has it. If not, bring that into the equation. I do kind of feel guilty though when they're passing the the offer basket around and I'm not putting anything in it. I do kind of feel guilty then, but I went to the automatic deduction type thing, because I always told myself I'll go do this, whatever. I just set it up. Like I said, time. What are you doing? Are you getting involved in your church? What are you doing to do something great for your church? And we've got to understand that it's up to us. It is our community, and that's one great thing that our priest, Father Brian, does a really good job at expressing. He says some people will come up to him and say, my family donated that stained glass right there, that window, or that statue, or this or that. And the main thing that he says is, well, what have you donated? That might have been your parents or your grandparents, but what have you done for the church? And that's what we've got to understand. I think we're in such an area right now where it's instant gratification, and that's what makes Catholicism, I think Christianity in general, very difficult, is because it's not a process. We don't believe it's once saved, always saved, right? It's a process, and you are growing with Jesus and with God through your entire life. We believe you can lose salvation. That's one of our debating points when they want to say once saved, always saved, and then we say, well, what about the person who fell away from the church 5 years into their conversion? And then the Protestants, or whichever one it is that believes that, they'll say, oh, well, they were really never saved. Well, how do you know? For those 5 years you thought they were saved, and then all of a sudden they just dropped out and decided not to come back to church anymore. So how do you really know if you were saved? You don't. It's an ongoing process. You just want to be the best that you can be and try to grow with God, just like you do with your spouse, with your children, with your friends. You grow together. So once again, time, treasure, talent is what it's really about. And I think when it comes to this guilt thing, like I said, it's just guilt of yourself. You know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Once I put myself on the automatic payment for the donations, and for me, the Father Brian brought it up one day that he said I brought something up about joining the Knights of Columbus. Maybe I did. I'd been thinking about something along those lines. I don't remember having that conversation, but maybe I did. And I joined the Knights of Columbus. And I'm a young guy compared to a lot of the other knights. So now, when I come up with an idea, it's not accepted with open arms. So I just kind of have to go out and do things on my own. And right now, I just set up, we're going to try to do a statewide Colorado Avalanche night. So I'm trying to get the Nuggets involved. I'm trying to get Colorado Rockies. I'm going to try and do it with all the sports teams. But this is something that I had to just take the step and lead. And now, it's going to be coming up here in the next 4 months. It's the week before Thanksgiving, November. My eyes are blurry now. I can't really see that far. I think it's the 18th or something right now, the 20th, whatever. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Well, not before, of the week before. But it's giving me purpose there as well. There's less guilt once you actually start getting involved in the church. And I think if it's guilt, it's not Catholic guilt. It's just you're not living up to your own expectations that you think God has for you. So I don't really think, the term Catholic guilt has any truth. I think it's just your own guilt, your own conscience letting you know that in some way, shape, or form, you are letting yourself down. You're not living up to your own expectations. That's what I truly believe. I don't think there is such thing as Catholic guilt. Yes, the Catholic Church expects a lot of things from you, but you know what? God expects everything from you as well, right? Didn't Jesus say something along the lines of, in order to gain your life, you must lose your life, right? Once we follow him, people will hate us and they won't like us, just like they didn't like him and they hated him and they killed him. So the unfortunate thing is, I think it's all in your head. You just know that you're not being the best Christian Catholic that you can be. And it's time for you to step up. And I just made a video on, why we can't stay silent as Christians. And I think that's the reason why Christianity has fallen so far in the world today. Because, like I said, with these non-denominational churches, everything's already done. You just have to show up. And unfortunately, with the tradition of the Catholic Church and young folks not liking tradition, yes, a lot of the churches are filled with the older crowds. And I think it's our job as young people to step in and take part and build something, if this works out with the Knights of Columbus, I'll be able to say, hey, we had a men's night for the Avalanche, and if it's able to work from now on, future generations, when I have children and I can go to this thing with my grandchild or my son, I can tell them, or daughter, whoever, I can tell them, I started this. This is something I did, and it brings the community closer together. And once I start talking to everyone else, they're feeding me more ideas. Finally, I had to go outside of my council. I'm talking to state officers and things like that, but I'm getting great feedback. And we've got to understand that us as a younger generation have really great thoughts. We're on a totally different level than these older guys, and we just have to realize that it's going to take a while to get these new thoughts and processes in to these churches, but you've got to be able to fight for what you believe in and go for it, right? So once again, I think I got on a rant there, but like I said, Catholic guilt, it's not there. It's your own mind. It's your own mind letting you know that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. If Jesus truly gave his entire life and you're not giving anything at all besides showing up on a Sunday, I think it's fair to say you're not doing your part. But once again, it's all in your own head and what you think needs to be done. And I think it's true. Once you are willing to die to self, which this would mean giving some of your money, giving some of your time and your talents in whatever way, shape, or form, you will feel that love and that acceptance and that relief off your shoulders when you're able to actually give a part of you to the cause, right? To the faith. So something else popped in my head when I was giving that little rant. But once again, just stick with it. Figure out what small things you can do in your life to give back to the church, your community in general, and see what great things happen and how much better and less guilty you will feel once you start to mingle with the church crowd as well and get to know them. And there'll be no better feeling, I can tell you right now. It's funny with me, everyone, the other day the Grand Knight said, well, it just seems like you have so much time, everybody else works and they have jobs. And it's like, well, no, I work and I have a job too. It's just when I go home, I don't watch TV all night. I try not to. I'm not gonna say I don't, but I try not to. And right now, I don't have children, so I don't have to worry about entertaining children. I think that might be another big thing as well. These older generations, they have children, so they do have that more responsibility, which I don't. But we're gonna make time for the things that are important to us. And if your faith is important to you, and Catholicism is important to you, Jesus is important to you, you're gonna make time in some way, shape, or form. Time, treasure, talent. Ooh, and I had that thought, but it went shot away again. But anyways, like I said, there you go. Catholic guilt, not there. I'm ranting here a little bit more to see if I can get that thought back in. But anyways, remember, what can you do for the church today? What can you do for God today? And go for it. So once again, I hope this helps. Subscribe to the channel, share and like these videos.